Hello my loves, welcome back to my channel. Today we're gonna do my boyfriend's sister's nails, and she already had a set on like right before this, so I soaked off one hand and her other hand is soaking. So we're gonna do a long purple yin yang set today because we were going on vacation and we all wanted to match our nails with yin yang. So first is going to be my prep. I started with Blue Cross cuticle remover, and this just softens her cuticle so I can push it back right here like you can see. And I think it's really important for me personally. I love to use that cuticle remover before I start doing anything because it really softens up the skin and it makes it just a lot easier to work with, and it's a must, especially for pedicures in my opinion. I know a lot of people don't use cuticle remover, but I really like it. So I'm just going to push back her cuticle, and I'm going to try to take out as much of that eponychium as I possibly can. The eponychium is the white tissue that connects your cuticle to your nail bed, and you want to make sure you remove that very well too, because if you don't, you're going to get lifting. You're going to get lifting. So now I'm going to go in with my fine bit cuticle bit. It's a ceramic bit. That's what I was trying to say. It's a fine bit ceramic cuticle bit. And I like to use ceramic because it doesn't get rusty, although I might be trying out carbide bits in the future. But I just run this underneath the cuticle on both directions, left and right. You can see me going back in the other direction right now. And this is just to make sure that anything you didn't catch while you were pushing back the cuticles, that you catch them real good. And this usually helps a lot with lifting. And if you're getting a lot of lifting, this is the part you got to make sure you get correct, so you can really clean out the nails so you won't have anything underneath it. So I reapply the cuticle remover again before I start nipping off the excess cuticle, because it just makes everything a lot softer. And it's, to me, if you try it out, you'll see what I mean. It just gives you so much better control of, like, you know, what you're really clipping off. You get every single piece of dead skin off. Well, at least I do when I use this method. So I carefully nipped the cuticle off, and she had just had her set on. Like, she just did her nails the day before, and then I told her, oh, let's do a set. So it was, she already did her cuticles and everything, so I didn't really have much to nip off. I think I did nick her a tiny little bit because her cuticles probably already went through so much. But it's always best to try to avoid nicking and just be very, very careful when you're cutting around that cuticle. Okay, so now I'm going to clip off her edges. I'm using a straight edge nail clipper for this. This one's by Tweezerman. All my nail clippers are by Tweezerman. They're very good reliable brand. But I like to clip off the excess because it just feels better to apply the tips on nails that are nice and rounded, and I just feel like it makes the application for the tips a lot smoother and I'll have less issues. But always make sure you ask your clients if they want their nails clipped or not. You don't want to just go ahead and clip off their nails and you don't know if they've been growing it out purposely for like a week or two. So I think right here I go in with my nail file, but I use Tammy Taylor's peel and stick. So I just removed my old file and I'm attaching a new one right now. And this is all in 180 grit. You don't want to use anything more coarse or anything less coarse when you're doing nails. So I'm just going to round out her edges, and then I'm going to move on to the tip application. I did apply the tips off camera. I feel like that I have a lot to say about tips, so that could really use a different video. And let me know if you want a different video for tip application, in-depth explanation in the comment section below. Or anything else you guys want to see, let me know. So here I'm going to use my 180 grit mandrel bit, and this bit I use to prep the actual nail. So I go over the entirety of the nail and then I come around and catch the cuticle. I know the video is a little sped up, but I really do take my time during these parts to make sure I don't hurt my client at all, because if your drill is spinning a little too fast, you don't want to cause friction burn and burn your client, then they know you for that. Like I said before, her nails were already prepped and stuff, so I didn't want to file too much since she had just recently filed the night before. So I'm gonna prep the nail plate with, I believe it was Valentino's Bond. I think it was that one, but I'm gonna prep all 10 fingers, and the first nail I'm gonna do is the glitter nail. I like to get the accent nails out first, so I kind of do my sets a little bit out of order depending on how I feel that day. But I don't like to mix the glitter together. I actually like to dip my brush into the acrylic and get a really wet bead and dip that into the glitter and then work my way around the nail with it like that. Like you can see, I'm taking an extremely wet bead, but I'm still making it big enough, and you kind of have to mix it on the nail right there. Mix the acrylic in with the glitter, and then I just cover the space I need covered with the glitter acrylic that I have on her nail now. I always go back and I encapsulate afterwards, so keep listening and I'll explain more. I'll let you guys watch how I lay my glitter. Even though I did end up encapsulating afterwards when I was done, I still use a 3-ball method to make sure that I get the proper coverage, especially when I'm using glitter. And you gotta be real careful with the cuticle because you want to make sure that the glitter doesn't spill over into her cuticle, but you still want to make sure that it's covering most of the cuticle area, because I'm going to go back again and encapsulate it, but you know, I don't want there to be a huge gap between where the skin starts and where the cuticle area on the nail is, if that makes any sense. I just lay my glitter and then just come back around and clean up that cuticle. I don't want to cause any lifting, so you gotta make sure you keep the cuticle area very clean and crisp. Okay, so now that I laid my glitter, because these are going to be 2 full encapsulated glitter nails, I just go back in and I cap the whole thing with clear. After I finish the accent nails, I like to start on the other nails. I just like to deal with the glitter first and then get anything else out of the way. The next we're going to lay down the regular color, and then we're going to do the painting on top. So I'll let you guys watch the other hand glitter application again, and then we'll move on to the next nail. Alright, so now that the glitter is done and laid, all we have to do is lay down our solid color nail. And I'm using these acrylics from Zoeve Nail Art. And my honest opinion about these acrylics, I don't know if it's just me, but they take really long to dry. I think it's because she made these acrylics with beginners in mind. So it might, so the acrylic is, it gives you more time to work with the acrylic and to move and maneuver them. But I work very quickly when it comes to my application, and I like to move on to the next very quickly. So what I do is I lay the tip, the first bead, because oh, I think we're doing an ombre. Yeah, we're doing an ombre here, so it's not a solid color, my bad guys. But I lay the tip color first, or the first bead, and then I will wait for it to set and dry. Then I'll go back in and then lay down the other beads, just so I don't mess with the shape or I don't move any of the acrylic that I already laid, since it takes a little while to dry these acrylics. The color is extremely rich though. I really like these acrylics for the colors. My only issue is the drying time. So these nails were supposed to be in ombre, so right now I'm laying the tip color first. I'm not really building the acrylic or anything, not really for shape much. You just gotta make sure that you catch the sides. So the first thing I do, okay, I caught a little dry bit in there, so ignore that. But the first thing I do is I lay the bead towards the middle kind of, and I feather the bead up immediately. And before the acrylic has time to run or anything, I feather it up first, and then I begin to shape it. Just make sure that you catch the sides of the nails so nothing is as bulky and you don't have to file as much. So again, I'm gonna place it in the middle of the nail, feather it up before the acrylic has a lot of time to move. And then I'll bring the color all the way down. I'm not too concerned about the thickness because I will encapsulate so I can get that apex back. Right now, you're just worried about the color and making sure that the color is opaque enough so that it covers everything, that it's a solid enough color acrylic so that it covers the entire tip. Since I'm gonna go back and basically create an apex with clear, I'm just worrying about the coverage of the color for the ombre. So make sure you keep that in mind. Alright, so now that we've laid all the tip colors, you can see the set starting to come together. Right here I'm using Valentino. I believe this was Prettiest Pink because the set was supposed to be like a purple pink theme. So this is definitely Prettiest Pink. It's such a beautiful buttery pink color. It's like a very subtle pink color though. It's perfect for all different types of skin tones. I feel like this color works on almost every skin tone. When you're looking for a good cover nude collection, definitely turn to Valentino because their cover colors are so beautiful and they vary ever so slightly so you can match the colors to your client's skin tone. But enough babbling. I like to use Prettiest Pink, especially on my ombres. So I just pick up a bead and I'll put it directly in the, I use the 2-ball method here, 2-3-ball method, whatever. I just start from the middle and I want to make sure I get that really good ombre in the middle first before I move up and focus on the cuticle. Now, especially with ombre, you want to make sure you're using a color that's extremely like buttery and a little bit translucent. I feel like that trick is what helped me figure out a lot of my issues with ombre. If you're ombreing with a very pigmented acrylic, the blend is going to be a little harsher. So what I suggest is always mixing. If your acrylic is a little too harsh on color, mix a little bit of clear into the actual color. If you need to, make a separate mix and put in a different container and then try it out on a nail first. But that little opacity is what gives the nail that nice ombre blend in the middle. And that's why I like Valentino covers, because I feel like they're not too pigmented to the point where it's a harsh color or it's a harsh blend or anything like that. The colors melt so beautifully together and you can see that when you use these products. But I'm gonna move on to the thumb. I laid the acrylic and I incapped the ombre. Sometimes I just go with the flow, but here you can see me do the ombre again. I like to focus the color on the middle first, and then you pull the color down and make sure that you get that nice little blend, and then you can focus on your cuticle color and then make sure you blend everything down, but not too far down to where you're covering the entire color. This nail, I love the way how the thumbnails look when you ombre them. It just looks so good. But always remember, after you do ombre, you have to encapsulate that ombre, because when you come back to file afterwards, you don't want to file off the beautiful ombre blend that you just made. So I come in with a little bit of clear just to fill in the shape and make a nice apex. I have a specific way I like to shape my clients' nails so that they last very long. So I just came in and filled that up with some clear, and then we can watch the other hand, and I'll see you guys when we paint. So before we move on, I wanted to explain again how I ombre. I like to focus one bead in the middle and then really do my ombre blend with that bead before I move on to my second cuticle bead. This cuticle bead, I focus on specifically, obviously, the cuticle and making sure that the sides of the acrylic are not dripping into her sidewalls. And I'm not really worried about the shape again. I'm just worried about the placement of the color and the ombre itself, and making sure that it's feathered down really nicely and I get a good blend between the two colors. Okay, now that all of my acrylic is laid and it's looking nice, I definitely went back in and I encapsulated those glitter nails again if I needed to, just to make sure the ombre is good and the apex is good. I'm coming in right now with my file and I'm not shaping it, but I'm separating the nail from the skin. And the first thing I like to do is come in with my 180 grit mandrel bit, and I'll do it in two different ways. Like either I'll file the entire body of the nail and then come back and do the cuticles, or I'll do the cuticle first and then come back and file out the shape of the nail. It's really important that this part right here, the cuticle part, this is a very crucial part to make sure you do not get lifting. A lot of people don't do this part, but I like to, because I like to make sure my clients for sure have nails that will last her weeks and don't have to worry about the lifting. But I just like to take my drill on the lowest speed setting, by the way, and bring it around the cuticle. And I look very closely during this part. Like, you really gotta look. You have to pay attention. You can't just do it mindlessly, you know. Pay attention to the cuticle part, especially because this is the part that's gonna ensure that you don't really have that much lifting at all, if you do have lifting. I then turn my drill up a lot. I turn it up to about like medium speed, and then I'll go back and I'll quickly file the top and the body of the nail. What I'm really looking for is to get a smooth top. I want, when I put my top coat on top of the nails, it's going to give a really nice smooth reflection all throughout the nail. I don't want any bumps and bruises in the nail, because when you put the top coat, you can see all the little imperfections. So I use my 180 grit, but I've also noticed that when you use a ceramic bit or like a coarse grit over this, it leaves less streak marks. And it's just a little bit like clearer, if that makes sense. Let me know if you guys like want another explanation to this. But again, I'm just going to use the other hand, and I'm just like filing maybe once or twice on the sides, just to separate the acrylic from the actual her skin, if there is any left there, just to separate the whole nail. So when I go in with my filing bit, I get all angles of the sides, and I don't have any runaway acrylic sitting there, you know, just chilling, waiting to pop up and pop off of her skin and start lifting, because we do not want lifting. So I just take it easy around the cuticles, and during this part is when I pay the most attention to my client. Like I said before, you have to really make sure that you're not going too hard or too close to their skin, and take it easy. I know that I'm going like fast because I sped up the video 2 times, but I am going very slow in real life, and I'm just not going slow on purpose, but I'm not rushing myself. If you are holding this drill a little bit too much in their cuticle, it's gonna burn them, and that's something I don't want to do. So usually when I'm doing this cuticle part, I'll actually ask my client, is this good? Are you okay? Does this feel alright? Is it burning? Does it feel hot? And I'll ask them often. Like, I don't care if it's a little annoying. You rather be annoying than burn your client and mess up their cuticles. Alright, so now that I'm done with buffing, I'm gonna come back again. I'm gonna begin shaping, but I usually start with the file, but I actually stopped and I started from underneath the nail first. Now, like, I guess I thought about it. So I use a coarse grit ceramic bit, and it has an umbrella tip, and I just run that underneath. I run the wider part of the tip underneath the nails that need a little better C curve, and then that just helps with the C curve, and I come back out and refine the shape with my nail file. So I take my time and I pay a lot of attention here as well, because you want to make sure that this finishing shape is not crooked, or it's not looking, you know, wonky, looking weird any type of way. And I just catch the left side and the right side. I also take a look underneath the nail. Girl, I'm looking 360 all the way around this nail. Like, I make sure that the nail looks good from my angle. Like, if you don't like the way the nail is looking, she's not gonna like the way the nail is looking. One tip I have about filing is make sure you hold your file deadly straight. Like, make sure that thing is straight. And it's very easy to start doing rounded strokes. I know a couple years back my coffin shape used to be very like rounded, but now it's extremely like it's very straight. And that's also how you get those nice sharp crisp edges. But you can see the posture, the way I'm holding my client's hand, and I make sure that I really hold her finger good when I'm getting the tip. And you can also there's also sometimes when you file the nail, there are little excess pieces underneath. Just make sure you take a good look at the nails and that there's nothing hanging out or there's nothing excess just there waiting for your client to see it before you do. And I just file, and then we'll do the next hand. And finally, we're going to paint on top. And another tip for you ladies is when I finish filing one hand and I'm moving on to the next, this is when I'll usually ask my client if she sees anything that she would like to be fixed or reshaped while I'm working on the other hand. In that time, she has plenty of time to look and criticize and look real deep into those cuticles and all over her nails to check and see if anything dissatisfies her. And by asking her, by telling her this, you're making her feel a lot more comfortable to tell you if she does want something changed. So that way your customer leaves with nails that they genuinely like. So after I shape both nails, I'm going to measure each of the nails to make sure that they're all the same size and length. And if you have to shorten them, make sure you also catch the C-curve underneath again, because the further back you go into the nail close towards the cuticle, the thicker that the nail will be. So you're going to need to level that out if you need to shorten it, like how I'm doing here with the thumbs. Okay, so today we're gonna do some yin yang painting, and first and foremost, what I like to do after I've filed and shaped and buffed everything and I'm satisfied with the shape and she's satisfied with the shape, I'm gonna come in with a lint-free wipe and my alcohol. Dang, I just had it thrown all over the table like that. I got these little alcohol dispensers from Dollar Tree, although I don't keep a lot of them inside of it because it evaporates and I don't want all my alcohol to evaporate. So we're gonna do some purple yin yangs, and I kind of had to customize the colors, so I just went little by little. Always make sure that you're making enough of the color, because you know, once you make the color, chances are you making that color again is probably kind of slim. I think I did had to remix it one more time because I did not make enough. I rarely ever mix colors, but I just felt like it needed to be customized, so just make sure you're mixing a lot. or you can put it in a smaller container and keep it for later. So I'm going to zoom you guys in so we can see exactly what we're doing. So with the yin yang, I'm going to start by creating an S shape and then carving out my little circle. I did make it a little too small, you'll see when I paint it. So I went back in and I opened up that little circle. You just got to make sure when you're doing a yin yang that you leave yourself enough space right there because you don't want it to be too little. I'm used to doing shorter nails, so this was way too small for this length. And the nail art brushes that I'm using are by Macart. I believe I started using them a year ago and I still love them. Although now I do make my own brushes, this longer length brush helps me when I'm dealing with kind of longer nails. It helps me with like bigger designs. So I'm just gonna go in and refine the shape and make sure that they're in very circular kind of like shapes and that my circle is big enough. So I'll let you guys watch how we paint the other yin yangs and then we'll get back to it. With the yin yang shape, just make sure you're making a really curvy S shape. Remember the yin yang is like balance between good and evil, so you got to balance out your little circular shapes too. And keep in mind to make that circle on top big enough so that it looks proportionate to the actual nail. And then I'll just fill this in and make sure that it's all nice and laid, and then we can move on. Now that we laid everything, we can move on to top coat. And as usual, I'm using my Valentino Beauty Pure top coat. I have so many of these in stock because it's my go-to top coat. I love this one so much. I don't get any issues, and the shine stays very shiny even after a week or two of wear. I never have an issue, but I just make sure that when I top coat, I start from the cuticle and I push it upwards a little bit so the top coat is right up against the cuticle, not touching or not flooding it though, but very nicely spaced out. Then I'll fill in the rest of the nail and I'll make sure I'll catch the tips too. I love the way how gel art looks over encapsulation. It looks so beautiful with the way how the glitter shines underneath and the solid feature of the art on top of it. It looks so good. I love that. So sometimes when I use my when I use my alcohol, it'll leave like a little white residue, and I'm not sure why. I think it's because of my lint-free wipes. If you have any clue, please let me know in the comments below. But sometimes I just re-wet my ring finger with the alcohol again before I cure, and then I cure them all for 30 or 60 seconds. I like to do 30, 35, 40 seconds. Just make sure they get a good cure. I also cure my clients' nails underneath as well, and I make sure the tips get a good cure too. If you guys want an in-depth video about gel top coat, I can give you that, but these were the finished look. It was so beautiful. I couldn't stop staring at it. We went on vacation and I really could not stop staring at her nails. It looks so pretty. Please let me know what other color I should do this same look in with my clients. And if you guys try it out, please tag me and let me know. This was such a beautiful ombre combination. If you made it to the end of the video, you're a real one. Please like, share, and subscribe, and leave me comments. Let me know how you like it. Thank you guys. See you next time.